Hello everyone, it's Geesje. Welcome back. Today I'm going to talk to you about paper beads. Here you see a variety of paper beads I made over the years. I have thick ones and thin ones from dictionary pages, and here some of the dictionary pages were colored beforehand. These ones are from catalogs made from painty papers, and these ones are made from very thick cardstock paper. Let's get over the supplies first. So, paper beads are of course made from paper. This is a catalog I get in the mail frequently, and what I like about this catalog, it has lots of color, the length of the page. These beads are made from this kind of paper. So this paper is very thin and made from recycled papers, that's why it has this look. So here I have another catalog. I don't care for the blue border, so we'll cut that off like I've done over here. But because the paper is a lot sturdier than from this catalog, you'll get thicker beads. Here we have some painty papers. These two are made on the gel plate. Here I have made one that is with regular copy paper. I sponged on some diluted paint, and especially if you make it a little bit mottled, your beads will come out in different color variations of the color you've used. Very simple to do. Here I have a National Geographic, also very good paper to use. I would look for instance, here I have 3 pages that are the same back tone. So I would get a whole bunch of beads in the same color value. Compared to what I have over here, you don't know how the bead is going to look like, and they all have variations in their own strip, but it is colorful, so this would work together. If you like to make some beads that are in the same color range, then you would find a few pages that are having the same undertone, and you'll get your beads in the same color tone. I'll show you my box of beads. For instance, here I had like 1 or 2 pages with the same color tone. Here I have 2 pages in one little compartment. You know, the beige one is from one color and the blue one is from one color. This blue is a little different than that blue, so I put that in a different container. If you want your beads to look more cohesive in one sort of a color, then you go with that. These beads will become mostly green. These beads will become mostly blue. Then you have a script page, which will make those beads that look like this. Also very neutral. You can wear it with everything. And the last paper I want to show you is scrapbooking paper. This is paper. And this is cardstock. They both work and they will make great beads. And especially because you have a big surface, you can make a lot of beads that look all alike. Next up, we need a cutting tool of some sort. And if you only have a scissor and a pencil, that'll work. You make dots with your pencil, connect the dots with your ruler, and cut on the line with your scissor. Or you can use a rotary cutter with a ruler that is at least 1/8 inch thick, and you need a cutting board with that. Or you can use a paper trimmer like this one. Next we need some sort of a rolling tool. I have like a skewer works. I have a thin one and a little thicker one, and I have a knitting needle or a crochet hook. As long as you have like a part that is the same thickness all along. Don't get a tapered something, because that doesn't work. Here I have a set of paper bead rolling tools from thin to thick, and I use these mostly because I roll a lot of paper beads. Next thing, we need some sort of a glue, and your regular Elmer's school glue works fine for all the regular papers. Here I have a PVA medium. This is not a PVA school glue, this is PVA medium. This will hold thicker papers and cardstocks, like the thick cardstock scrapbooking paper or wallpaper even, which with this you will have a hard time staying it glued. Another thing we need is some sort of a finisher to coat our beads with, so that they are protected from the environment, because they are just paper, and unless we're finishing them, they can be damaged by water or crushed by pressing against it. Now if you have nail polish, you can use that. If you're only going to do a few beads, then this works great. You need to brush this on the beads, and you might want to do 2 coats. My method is dipping, which I will show you later in the video. So that's where these 3 products come into play. I have a gloss, medium and varnish. This gives a gloss finish, and you can get this at your local craft store. Then we can use wood hardener, which you can buy at your local hardware store. And this can be diluted with water, about half-half. The only thing about this product is it smells of acetone. And you know, like the nail polish remover, and it also cleans up. If you have spills or something, you clean this up with acetone. The last product I use is a polyacrylic, and you can also find this in the local hardware store. And I like it because it cleans up with water. And I dilute this about 2/3 polyacrylic and 1/3 water. Now this happens to be a matte finished, and my store didn't have a gloss finish. So I usually use this as the first coat, and then I use one of the other tools for the second coat. So I grabbed one of my painty papers, and I'm going to use this paper to make some paper beads. I would like to make my marks on the back of the paper so that you don't see that on the front. And I like to make 1/2 inch beads. I like that. So if you make marks at every 1/2 inch, you will get 1/2 inch long beads. So on one side, you start from the edge every 1/2 inch. I flipped my paper around. So here I started with 1/2 inch. Now to make a bicone bead, which is the one that I'm going to show you. Now we're going to start a 1/4 inch away from the edge of the paper and make a mark. That's where the first mark goes. And then we're going to mark every 1/2 inch. Now I'm going to find my first marks, and I'm going to draw a line connecting the dots. Now I'm going to draw a line from this dot to the outer point of my paper. And from here on, I will go from dot to dot and make lines. Now I can cut them with my scissor. I'm not going to use a scissor. I'm going to use my rotary cutter and ruler to cut this out. And also because I'm using my rotary cutter, I don't really need to make the lines, because I can do that with my ruler. That's enough for now. Now I'm going to cut a regular strip all the way from one end to the other, 1/2 inch wide, which will make a barrel bead. Then I'm also going to show you, I have a 1 inch mark here, 1/2 inch there. I'm going to pivot here, move to the edge, and I will create a paper strip for a 1 inch long bead, just so that you can see the differences. I am going to talk a little bit about the rolling tools. Here I have a thin skewer, and here I have a thicker skewer. If I would roll 2 strips, one on this one and one on the thicker one, this bead will be slightly thicker than this one. So first of all, you have to be consistent. And the second is you have to realize that the thicker your rolling tool, the thicker your bead is going to be. If you have a choice of rolling tools, I would suggest get a wooden skewer. A knitting needle or a crochet hook are slippery, and it is very tough to hold on to the paper when you're rolling. First, you're going to condition the paper by making it somewhat in a curved shape. Then grab the end and roll it over your skewer. And once you're rolling, you might have to adjust the paper either to the left or to the right if you're going off center. So you want to stay in the center so that you're getting a nice equal shaped on both sides. Now, because this is handmade, it is of course never going to happen exactly. Once we're nearing the end, we're going to add some glue. One tip is to uncap your glue before you start. Add some glue to the tip of your bead and roll it the rest of the way. And you can distribute the rest of the glue that is on your hands on the bead. And then you can slide it off, and we're going to let it dry. So here's the first bead. Now I'm going to grab another piece of paper, and I'm choosing one of my thicker rollers so that you can see that the thickness of your rolling tool will make a difference in how thick your bead is going to be. So the rolling tool is quite handy. You slide in your strip of paper and you can start rolling. That little gap in here holds the paper quite firmly. Now don't pull too tight, otherwise you cannot get the bead off when you're done. This rolls real easy. Again, you have to make some adjustments here and there. Again, add some glue to the tip and roll the rest of the way. And again, you can distribute the glue that's on your finger on the rest of the bead. Kind of coats it and it makes it sturdier. When you want to remove the bead from your rolling tool, don't just grab it over here, because then you might stretch it out of shape. Grab it at the end and pull it off like so. Now, if you don't care for the whiteness at the ends, what you then would do is color this end with the same kind of paint that you used on the other side. So here are the 2 beads, same paper, but one is quite a bit thicker than the other one. And if you want to use them in the same project, you can definitely see that. I will now roll the barrel bead and the cone bead and the bicone bead, which has a wider base. So for the barrel bead, you want to keep the strip in the middle. Okay, I wasn't too careful with this bead. It has like a lopsided end there. I'll just cut that off. Now this is the cone bead, so I want to make sure that on this side I have a straight edge. And this is the 1 inch wide strip to make a bicone bead. As you can see, there's quite a difference in length with the 1 inch and the 1/2 inch bead. And here we have the cone bead, and here we have the barrel bead. If you want to make a fat bead like this one, you're going to get 3 strips that are equally long, and from 2 strips I would like to cut a generous amount off. Then I'll make sure that that is on the inside when I roll up. I see I did not cut them all the same width, but that doesn't really matter. Slide them in my rolling tool and roll. Make sure that they're all centered. Ideally, you want to hide the 2 inner ones behind the top one. So I cut it off at the end because this way you only have to use glue on the one, and the other strips will be trapped by the outer one. So here you have a nice fat bead. I'm going to use these papers to make my bracelet out of from the catalog, and I'm going to show you how I cut them with my paper trimmer. I'm going to use 3/8 inch wide strips. Okay, I'm going to show you how I cut this, and my cutter is always at the widest end. I want to do 3/8 of an inch, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 slots over, and here it will be, the tip will be meet the cutting edge. Holding down the paper firmly, and I will press on the cutter as well. Now I will just rotate the paper. No need to lift up the bar or do any of that. And I will continue until I have enough beads to make my bracelet. Okay, so here I have my beads. They're finished rolling, but before we can make the bracelet, we need to harden them. And I'm going to use the polyacrylic, which I have diluted with some water. This is about 1/3 water and 2/3 polyacrylic. Here I have a box with slits in them. I don't know if you can see it. Also on the other end, this is going to be my drying rack. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a length of fishing wire. It's a little curly to work with. It needs to be longer than the box. And I'm going to string on my beads. And I know that I can have about 20 beads on here comfortably. So I have them all strung. I usually do this near the sink, but I will do that here today. So I put a knot in the end so that I can string it on here and hold it tight. Now it's all strung on. I'm just going to dip it in the solution a few times. Make sure excess is off. I can do it in the box too. Then I will string it on here and through there, and I hold it taut either with a clothespin or I don't know what this is, one of these guys. Then I'll get a skewer, because I don't really want to touch them too much with my hands. I'm going to move them all apart, because if I leave them together, they will dry stuck to each other. And that's why I know I can have 20 beads of this type, of this size in here. This will dry in about half an hour. I will come back, I will loosen it up, and then I will dip again. So the beads are dry. So I'm going to remove them from the box. I'm going to leave the clothespin on so that they don't come off. Now they stuck just a little bit to the wire, so gently loosen them up. Now they're ready for another dip. And same thing again. Dip them in the solution, shake off, and hang back on the drying rack. And move them apart again. One thing that happens with the beads is that they soak up the hardening solution, so they will be a little thicker than when they were dry. So the beads are all dry. I'm going to take them out of the box, and they might stick to the cord, so we're going to gently loosen them up. Sometimes a little piece of paper stays behind, but that's okay, you're not going to see that. So here I have a bunch of beads ready to make into a bracelet. They turn out very sturdy after they're finishing, so I highly recommend you do that. And the other thing we need is some elastic wire and some good glue that you trust to stay put. Now you're going to string as many beads as you want for as many wraps for your bracelet as you want. I want 3 wraps, so I will string as many beads as I need, and then I will come back. So this is the amount of beads I need for my bracelet. So now the only thing to do is make a knot. make a square knot. And make sure you have all your beads nicely next to each other. And I'll do one more. Then I will cut the ends off real small. Grab my glue and put a dot of glue on the knot. And then right away slide a bead on top of the knot so that the knot is hidden in the bead. And because I put glue on it, the glue will attach itself to the inside of the bead, and once this is dry, it will not come off. So I'm gonna let this dry. Maybe I pulled too tight because all the beads are a bit tight. No, looks pretty good. I do want this to rest until the glue is dry, and then I will try again. So that was it for today. It was a little bit of a longer video than I hoped it was going to be, but I just needed to get all the information in there, and I hope you liked the video. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section below, and we hope to see you in the next video. Bye!